What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Is your boy David from Top Bunk Sports, and I am here with another episode of Mets on Top, episode number 5, and we got a big one. An hour ago, ESPN MLB Insider Passan reported that the New York Mets are trading outfielder Brandon Nimmo for second baseman Marcus Semien. Now, obviously, Brandon Nimmo goes to the Texas Rangers, while Marcus Semien makes his way to the New York Mets. This is a very big trade considering the fact that a couple weeks ago it was reported by Passan himself in an article that he put out on ESPN.com that the New York Mets have a trade list that put Brandon Nimmo on that list. And then a couple days after that, our very own former Met Adam Ottavino came out and said some things about Brandon Nimmo that were very shocking to say the least. Now, while I say that, I will put up the graphic here. I put my graphic, so like I always tell you guys, make sure you guys follow me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Top Bunk Sports. That you see Passan. I put the New York Mets are finalizing a trade to send outfielder Brandon Nimmo to the Texas Rangers for second baseman Marcus Semien per Passan. I also put that the MLB Insider Jon Heyman reports that Brandon Nimmo accepted the trade. And I put in quotes, Nimmo had a no trade clause in his extension with the New York Mets that he signed in 2022. So this is very big for multiple reasons. From the Mets perspective, like I said, with the shocker of the list of guys that the New York Mets wanted to trade, Brandon Nimmo was on that list, and it was a very, very weird thing to say the least because of a couple things. One, Brandon Nimmo had a no trade clause. Two, they just extended him in 2022, right? And it was a contract that would be very hard to move. We didn't see a team that would want to take that contract unless you're a team that you know is not going anywhere and you just want to have an outfielder to have an outfielder. But it was very, very weird to kind of see him be put on that list. You know, he's a very good, very great clubhouse guy. The fans love him, his teammates love him. So to kind of see that was very, very weird. A couple of days later, Adam Ottavino goes on a show on SNY and basically says some stuff that kind of ruffled the feathers of the New York Mets fans in a negative way, right? He talks about how Mendoza going, using his pitchers more than once when they needed some time to recuperate after being used maybe once or twice in a game. Uh, th- that was the main reason why they were hurt. So he was basically saying that Carlos Mendoza was the main reason why his pitchers got hurt. But then he said something about Brandon Nimmo that kind of took everybody by surprise. But then little by little, they started saying, well, maybe he felt this way, he felt that way. Well, he said that Brandon Nimmo did not like the talk of the captaincy when it came to Francisco Lindor. Now, obviously, it was a shocker for many of us because Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor have embraced in numerous occasions, right? Um, when they clinched the division series against the Philadelphia Phillies, you saw Brandon Nimmo in tears on the field. He was embracing and hugging the Francisco Lindor. They were both emotional. It was a big moment. They clinched in front of the City Field fans. I was there live for it, so I saw that. It was a moment where you kind of thought to yourself, okay, that was dope to see. You know what I'm saying? So for that to come out and for Adam Ottavino, who again I understand people got their feelings towards that, but that's a guy that was in that clubhouse last year. He played with Nimmo, he played with Lindor, he was literally coached under Carlos Mendoza last year when we made the NLCS. So that at the end of the day is something that, and not a lot of fans want to believe, but I don't think Adam Ottavino is going to come on here and make anything up unless it's a situation where he's just trying to get camera time and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna stir the pot. Then of course, you'd have fans or you'd have players that would probably not say anything, but would probably shut that down later on as we go through. But yeah, then this comes out and it was a bombshell to say the least. I thought it was fake. There's certain accounts that go on there and they probably put, they put fake Jeff Passan accounts and all that or whatnot. So I thought it was fake. But the fact that it wasn't fake, the fact that when I clicked it, mind you, I didn't get it from Twitter. I didn't get it from Instagram. I didn't get it nowhere else. I got it from the ESPN app. And like I said, I was just like, I was like, wait, what? I thought it was from X, but it was from a fake like account that was using ESPN logo, whatever. So I click on it and I'm like, huh? Okay. I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, that's Jeff Passan for real. And he put breaking, and I was like, wow. So again, it's a very shocking thing for me, to say the least, because it looked like Brandon Nimmo was going to be a Met for life. I mean, you guys remember when he did his press conference after signing the extension, he said it felt good to put this jersey on and know it's never coming off, and then now it's gonna come off. So it is very, 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 very weird to see Brandon Nimmo in a Rangers jersey. Well, when we do see it, but looking at it from the perspective of Marcus Semien, there's a good and a bad. And I'll start off with the good. The good is that when it comes to Marcus Semien, them trading him for in that second base position, you get a better defender than what you have now, right? The situation with Ronnie and Luis Angel Acuna is up in the air right now. Are those guys going to get more, playing time for most of the year? We don't know. Jeff McNeil is our other second baseman, and he's the veteran. But I feel like it is time that the Mets cut ties with Jeff McNeil. I feel like they're going to trade him, and that would be the only thing that makes sense, unless McNeil was willing to lose some time and be a utility man. So that right there is up in the air. We don't know how that's going to go. Another thing too is they take less money, right? They save money by giving away Nemo's contract. See, Texas is taking the 5 years left that Brandon Nimmo has on his deal, where Marcus Semien only has 3 years left on his deal on a cheaper contract than Brandon Nimmo has. So that's another thing, right? That right there plays into effect when it comes to Marcus Semien. Brandon Nimmo himself, now you're getting rid of a guy who, yes, has good career numbers, who's developed his power the last 2 to 3 seasons, right? And I would say the only detriment to his game would be his defense in the outfield. His defense is not that good. He really doesn't have a good arm. So what you're doing is you're getting rid of that for a second baseman who's a better defender at second base than the ones we have now. Not great offensively, but I think when you try to look at from the perspective of the offensive weapons you want to bring in, that plays into effect, right? He doesn't really have to be a key part offensively. He can show you what he can do defensively. Brandon Nimmo, like I said, you're trading Brandon Nimmo and you're getting rid of that left field hole, where now you're looking at it from a perspective of, can we go trade for a Cody Bellinger, which would be my first option, right? A much cheaper deal, a guy who's versatile, a guy that can not only play left field, right, where you just got rid of your main left fielder, but a guy that can also play first base if Pete Alonso needs to DH, right? You can also go get yourself a Fernando Tatis. Maybe have a conversation with Juan Soto and be like, listen, we know right field is your primary, for primary position, but you started your career with the Nationals as a left fielder. If we move you there, it'll be less pressure there, and we bring in another bat to help you and a guy who's already developed himself as a right fielder. Or you do the same thing with if you bring in Kyle Tucker. Now, I put Kyle Tucker as the third option because Kyle Tucker is going to want a lot of money, right? He's going to be a free agent. He's going to want a lot of money. So why add another big time contract like that on your payroll, where you can go for, it's gonna be the same thing with Tatis, but you know what? At least Tatis is probably his AAV is probably gonna be a little bit smaller. He's younger, right? Let's look at Kyle Tucker's age, because I know Tatis is 26. That I could tell you off the top of my head, and I'm gonna look at Kyle Tucker's age real quick, just so I could show you guys the age difference real quick. Give me 1 second. Kyle Tucker. Real quick, Kyle Tucker's age. Okay, Kyle Tucker's age. Kyle Tucker's 28. So you're talking about a 2-year difference right now if you were to go out there and make a big splash trade for Fernando Tatis Jr. So when you're looking at it that way, right? My number one is, like I said, if it's not Tatis, it's Bellinger. If it's not Bellinger, it's Tatis, right? And if you can't get both of those, if maybe you go in the mix and you go out there and get a Kyle Tucker, so be it. You have another lefty bat, two lefty bats compared to the one lefty bat. So within your three options for the outfield. So you can do that. They can pivot that way. And to me, this trade right here tells me that they're going to make that move. That this isn't commitment. This is a one-on-one trade, right? There's no other player involved in this trade. This is a one-on-one trade. They're straight up. This tells me that they're gonna go out there and they're gonna go get a left fielder. And who the left fielder is, like I said, I named the three top options that they have. or maybe they might want to go and put McNeil out there and be like, yo, it's not the best option, but I'm trying to think from previously what the Mets have done. But I do think that they go out there and they go try to go get a Bellinger or a Tatis. And the Tatis thing is a very, very interesting one because number one, Tatis is a superstar, right? He's a superstar. He's one of the best players in the game right now. People were always questioning like, yo, how well is he gonna transition from shortstop to right field? He's made a great transition. If you see the way that he covers balls out there in right field, the way he tracks down balls out there, he covers so much right field. Him covering right field on City Field, I'd do it, right? And if you have that conversation with Juan Soto, be like, listen, we just want you to move back to your natural position in left field. We're bringing in another superstar that you guys could do damage together. So we'll see how that works out. But yes, that is your big trade. Like I said, it works out for the Mets in a sense that they go ahead and they make another trade after this. If this is the only trade that you're gonna make and you're gonna try to put Carson Benja left field and then try to put Tyrone Taylor in center field, then I don't like this trade. I really don't, because if that was the case, then I might as well develop with my young kids within Luis Angel Acuna or Ronnie Mauricio. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, we don't have to deal with the injury prone of Marcus Semien. We can get some of his offensive production, and his defense speaks for itself. Before I do go, I do want to show you his stats just so everybody could kind of get a little bit familiar with it. So you see it right here. This is his 2025 stats right here. 108 hits, 15 home runs, 62 RBIs, 11 stolen bases, a 230 average, an OPB of 305, and an OPS of 669, and then a career OPS of 756. So again, not that great offensively, but I think defensively he'll be more of an upgrade than Jeff McNeil, which we've been advocating for better defense at second base than Jeff McNeil. I think that 1 year where he won the batting title is over. There's no need to go ahead and try to give him a chance to reduplicate that. He doesn't need to do that. So you get a better defensive player in Marcus Semien. Offensively is the question. Can he stay healthy is the question. That's the risk that they're willing to take. But in order for the Mets to be better, they had to go ahead and make this move only because of the fact that Brandon Nimmo, yes, on the offensive side, he's kind of there, right? If you look at Brandon Nimmo's numbers, he's fine offensively. His power, he's developed as a bit of a power hitter, not that much, right? He's more of a contact hitter than a power hitter, but his power is starting to get there. But his defense is a big liability. And if the Mets weren't going to be able to move off that contract, you would have been having to deal with Brandon Nimmo as your left fielder for 5 more years, unless they want to move him to DH. And for me, as much as I wanted that, for me, it didn't seem like that was the case. For me, it looked like they always wanted to have that for Alonso if Alonso comes back. So with them still having conversations about bringing back Alonso, they can still do that, right? They can still tell Alonso, listen, we want to give you close to what you want. And of course, you're going to play first base, but we also want you to DH at times. Where if they go get a Bellinger, this is why the Bellinger thing makes sense. This is why I said his name first. Go get a Bellinger who is versatile, who is most likely going to play left field for the most part, but can also play first base when he needs to. That moves you to DH at times, takes off a little bit of some pressure, especially defensively, because we know how much Pete Alonso is and how a liability defensively. And then on top of that, you're if you get a Bellinger, right? You replace your lefty bat in Brandon Nimmo for another lefty bat in Cody Bellinger, who's a way better hitter. So why not? If David Stearns can make that move, this trade wouldn't look so bad. And then on top of that, you're getting rid of the 5 years that you have on his contract, which is another plus. But you got to get better, right? You got to get better defensively, and this is what it is. This is what it is. So we'll see what David Stearns has up his sleeve, but obviously a big trade to start off the offseason, besides obviously, cleaning house with the coaching staff. But this is his first major trade of the offseason. And Met fans are gonna have some mixed emotions because some Met fans are player fans and they love Brandon Nimmo. I love Brandon Nimmo. I want to thank Brandon Nimmo for everything that he's given the New York Mets, his time, his effort, his emotion, his love and support. We love you, bro. We hope you do well in Texas. Brandon Nimmo has been nothing but positive and great for us. We thank you for the memories, Brandon Nimmo. We have been to the playoffs with you. You have given us so much moments to hold on to. We hope that you continue to show off in Texas. Welcome, Marcus Semien. We hope that you come into this season healthy and ready to work, because we are going to be pulling you on now that you're wearing this New York Mets jersey. But like I said, the New York Mets had to make this trade to get better defensively. And like I said, if they go out there and they take care of left field, they get a better hitter than Brandon Nimmo and Cody Bellinger, maybe a Kyle Tucker, maybe a splash trade for Fernando Tatis. Who knows? We'll see. But David Stearns puts his foot down and makes his first big move of the offseason. Brandon Nimmo has been traded to the Texas Rangers for Marcus Semien. So with that being said, I will check you guys on the next video. Make sure you guys like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Top Bunk Sport YouTube channel. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you guys share it. And make sure you guys follow me on all social media platforms at Top Bunk Sports. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.